A bumbling performance in Buffalo from the Blackhawks. Join us on the CHGO Blackhawks Postgame Show, starting next, presented by Sunnyside. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show presented by Sunnyside. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders. Ice Hogs are winning 4-0.
Hey.
Colton Dock with the goal. Got some good stuff going on in Rockford, but holy crap. That was I don't like to overstate things, but I think that was the worst game of the year for the Blackhawks. And this has been a year with a lot of bad games.
Yeah, I think given the break and given the fact that they were playing the Sabres, a team that had only just recently snapped a 13-game winless streak, this was a game that you thought the Blackhawks had a little bit of an advantage of going into it. And oof, did they come out of the gate stumbling.
Yes, 6-2 is the final score if you weren't watching at home, and who could blame you? Hawks outshot 11-2 in the first period. Zach Benson, Alex Tuck, Quinn, Cousins, they all scored. Then Tyler Bertuzzi scored in the second for the Hawks. Seth Jones scores early in the third. And then guess what? Moments later, less than 3 minutes later, for the 17th time this season, the Blackhawks allow a goal after scoring a goal of their own. 17 times that has happened where the Hawks score and 3 minutes or less later, the opponent scores. And that completely turns the game around. It is a soft-ass goal given up by Arvid Soderblom, who comes in relief of Petr Mrázek, who gave up a soft-ass goal of his own, allowing 4 goals on 11 shots in the first period. Awful. This was an awful performance, pretty much top to bottom. There were a couple bright spots. We'll get to those as we move along the show, but I don't want to start there because we did a whole watch-along for that game. A lot of people in here were in there with us, and we appreciate it. That was brutal. That was a waste of time for Hawks fans, and I hope that to a man, these guys are embarrassed. I can't wait to hear what they have to say after this game.
Yeah. Just across the board, disappointing efforts tonight. I mean, we do 4th star of the night after each game, and we were kind of just like, well, these guys were the least ass of the team tonight, so they must be the nominations. Like
the least ass award presented by Depends.
It was just bad, and to you start the game off and just get blitzed. It was 11 minutes into the first period before they get the first shot on goal.
Yep.
First shot on goal, and you were already down 3-0 at that point. Like, pack it up. Like the game was already out of reach, and you were basically just trying to fight and claw just for the pride of your own efforts. And they had some momentum. They score in the second period. Only goal of the second period was Tyler Bertuzzi's. You have a little bit of momentum. You score earlier in the third, and then it's all gone.
Well, in the power play to follow up Jones's goal was really solid.
Yeah.
Good scoring chances. They don't convert. And then as soon as Alex Tuck's out of the box, gets in on Soderblom and just, I don't know if Soderblom wasn't expecting him to shoot or what, but it hits him in the blocker hand, drops in the net behind him. Soderblom just sinks his head, knowing he just gave up a turd, and that flips the game. The Hawks had all the momentum at that point. And look, Soderblom's been good. He's kept him in games that he shouldn't have kept him in this year. I get that. I don't want to go off on a guy too hard, but if there's ever an awful time to give up a bad goal, that was the worst possible time. For the first time in 45 minutes of this game, the Hawks had some momentum, and it's gone like that, and it's over, and there's no chance, and then it's 6-2 when this game ends.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you get it to 4-2. You have the power play, which you get a lot of, possession, a good number of chances. Like, the game's not out of reach at that point because of how they have kind of come back in some games.
The Sabres,
the way they play,
the worst team in the East,
the way they played against the Wild, and then like a team that you should be able to, at the very least, they should have hung with this team tonight, and they just got worked, and it was just rough. I just think, you have Mrázek come in, he's fighting it to start the game, and then he's got some sort of, from what Ben Pope said, looked like he was nursing another like groin tweak to the injury that he just overcame, and then gets taken out in between the first and second periods. Like, TJ Brody had a rough night. Alex Vlasic, if you go by our friends over at Hockey Stat Cards, he may have put in the worst performance analytically of the year across the NHL. Like, I don't think I've seen a purple line this far to the left of any Hockey Stat Cards that have gone out. It's just short of a -7 game score in one game.
Alex Vlasic was on the ice for rough. 10 shot attempts for 25 against.
And he had the really bad turnover for Alex Tuch's hat trick goal. Like, oof, like just bad across the board. So, I mean, we said on the watch along, like there should be some ramification from this game in a lineup change. I think TJ Brody is the easy one to make, but I mean,
apparently not.
You're kind of it should be from our perspective. I would say that would be an easy one to make. I don't think you're scratching Vlasic because he's a guy that just I think this is maybe his worst. This clearly his worst performance of the year, but I don't think his leash is yanked after one game like that. But I don't know. It's just there's really not a lot of great things to take from this effort. So
this was the Alex Vlasic's game tonight, according to HockeyStatCards.com, was the 9th worst performance of the year.
Yeah,
behind Keandre Miller, Jaden Struble, Drew O'Connor, Mason Lohrei, Lane Hudson, head fakes, Logan Mailloux, Neil Pionk, and Dylan Sandberg. Pionk.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, it's I think there is. I don't want to say like, and we had this discussion on Monday's postgame show after the Wild game, and I forget who it was, but one of our regular chatters, members of the chat, said to be disappointed means you had different expectations in the loss of the Wild. And there is something to be said that this is a last place Blackhawks team. There are very few teams that you think that they should beat. But I'm disappointed in this effort. I'm not to lose to the Sabres, sure. Like, on paper, Sabres are better than where they're at. They've gone through a really bad streak. It was a game to jump on them. But to lose to Sabres, I'm not like heartbroken over that. I'm frustrated that it was such a disjointed effort. It was maybe one of the worst periods of hockey, clearly that they have played this year. Maybe of the entire league this year. Just getting walked by the Sabres to the tune of 4-0 in the first period with, at the time, one shot on goal. I guess they got gifted another one. So I'm just it's frustrating and it's disappointing for that to be the effort after the holiday break. Like, I would have loved to have seen this team come out with some pep in their step, a little jump in the game, and be able to not be down 4-0 after 20 minutes to Buffalo.
It can't happen. And I mean, we need to have a Petr Mrázek conversation. You mentioned it. Maybe tweaked a groin or didn't look fully 100%. He's allowed 9 goals on 40 shots since returning. That is a 77.5 save percentage.
That's not good.
That is hurting the team. And if he is telling trainers, if he's telling doctors, whatever, like, oh, no, feels great, ready to go back, because he just wants to get back on the ice for whatever reason, it's a detriment to the team, and that's hurting the team. It's been 2 games. I get it, but he's been bad in those 2 performances.
Yeah.
And you put Soderblom in there, and again, awful goal given up by him, but he comes in cold, already down 4-0, and does his best. Only gives up 2 goals, right? One of them is soft. The other one's a breakaway.
Right.
And it's just like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know. How are you not chomping at the bit to get back on the ice and play good, strong hockey in a winnable game? Like, we've heard from these guys, from their own mouths, how much better they're feeling, how much more confident they are. You look at their individual stats. Everybody's on the way up. Everyone's doing better under Anders Sorensen. And now they come out and respond like this? How? I don't get it. Like I said to you during the watch along, if I had told you they're going to lose this game 6-2 and get outshot 35-17, including 11-2 in the first period, that would sound like a ridiculous prediction.
Yeah.
Considering the opponent, considering the circumstance,
I would not have believed it.
It's very, very frustrating. And again, it's one game, and you can put all those qualifiers in there, but that was alarming. Like that response was alarming, because this team, when you bring in these veteran players, is supposed to be game like this proof.
Yeah, you should be insulated against this kind of stuff.
That's the idea. You know what? Your better players in this game are some of your young players. And maybe that's encouraging. And I saw someone say, Kyle Davidson's to blame for this. Like, okay, like they still have great prospects. They still have, Rockford is doing well. You're calling guys up who are doing okay. Like, I feel like that's such an easy thing to do after a loss. To me, my big issue is the veterans on this team right now. Just, it's a complete letdown. And it started tonight with Mrázek, who was bad. It continued up to Nick Foligno, who I didn't notice till halfway through the second period. Alex Vlasic, I consider a veteran at this point.
Yeah,
because of the way he plays and the way he's going to be paid.
How much he has played.
Yeah,
he's been around for enough time.
Like you need better efforts from these guys, and it's very frustrating. And I could see, being a Hawks fan right now, it sucks. It's very, very hard. Rebuilds are very, very hard, and this might be the hardest game of the night. Rooney had a comment earlier, Sarah, mentioning how he's so tired of having to look forward to the draft by New Year's Eve every year. It's hard to get excited about a kid who may or may not be good 2-3 years down the road. That's it. And I get the frustration. I get why people are mad, and I get why people want Davidson gone and stuff. But if you saw what Steve Yzerman was talking about a couple days ago, saying look, I've tried to expedite the rebuild and it hasn't worked. What do you suggest? Asking the media for suggestions, expediting doesn't help. And the fact that Davidson is patient is a good thing, as frustrating as it is in the short term. In the long term, I think it's going to pay off. But this to me is an NHL roster problem right now in terms of the guys on this team not being ready to play. That's not on the GM. Is it on the coach? Maybe. To me, it's on the players. This has been a trend for 2 years now with this team, where they're not ready to go night after night after night. And again, you've got the captain up there who is first to speak and first to be critical and first to offer his insights and everything, but they've not been prepared to play most nights under his leadership. And again, not blaming Nick Foligno, but this is supposed to be, you're supposed to be insulated, like you said.
There's supposed to be who Kyle Davidson went out and got this offseason in free agency is, like you said, supposed to protect you from stuff like this. It's supposed to give you guys that are veterans, that know how to play simple and know how to know how to be up for games that are hard to be up for. They're longtime vets, and it has been alarming the amount of times that they've kind of come out and just been punched in the mouth right away. And sometimes they've had good responses to it. And you'd like to not have to be down 4-0 to elicit a response out of a team. That the first goal should have been, hey, we have been disjointed in this game. We're down 1-0. We need let's get our heads out of our butts.
Yeah.
Let's wake up. Holidays are over. We've all had our turkey and prime rib and ham and mashed potatoes and all that stuff. But it's time to like, jump back into it and get back to it. And it's really rough to have this kind of effort coming out of this game. And, it seems like since Ben Pope and Mark Lazarus are already transcribing that the post-game media availability is already done. So we have some quotes here. We should probably get to those at the other side of the break because Taylor Hall's got some interesting things.
Hopefully we get some in too, so you can actually hear the tone and the response from everybody too. So if they send us audio by the time the game's over, you will hear it and see it on the video.
Seth Jones is also saying interesting things.
All right, we're going to share that next. Make sure you hit the like button for us. Remember, it's not our fault the Hawks lost, so don't come in here thumbs downing us because the Hawks lost. We weren't playing. So hit that like button for us. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, thank you. Make sure you are following or subscribed there. Back in a moment on CHGO Blackhawks. And I want to remind everybody that Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your season. My two favorite brands, the Good News and the Mindy's. I misidentified the Counting Sheep last week as Mindy's. Those are actually Good News.
Oh, okay.
I flipped them, reversed it. Yeah, the Good News Counting Sheep, great if you have trouble sleeping. Take half of those. Take half one of those, and you are good to go. Mindy's, those blackberry gummies are just like taking a warm bath. It's wonderful. And they've got those new Good News Island Vibes vapes. Wonderful. Available in 510 carts, live resin gummies as well. Do yourself a favor. Visit Sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Just enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
And hey, with 2025 right around the corner, now is your chance to save big on your next vehicle. The model year-end sales event is going on right now at Ray Chevrolet. Head in today to shop their huge selection of new Chevy models with special model year-end prices. Right now, take 10 to 20% off of MSRP on select new Chevy models or shop over 125 of their vehicles priced under $20,000. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. You can visit our friends this December, just a few days left, at their location on Route 12 in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. And if you've heard of Ray Chevrolet, then you've also heard of Ray's Price Promise. They guarantee to make your next vehicle more affordable than ever with no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees ever. That means the incredible prices that we're talking about right now, you can expect to see the very same when you shop Ray Chevy in-store or online. So shop the model year-end sales event all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com.
All right, Mario mentioned it. Some quotes rolling in post-game. This one here from Taylor Hall via Ben Pope. There were so many things that we did wrong and so many things to clean up, but overall it was our compete. We had so many stick checks and flybys. They could do whatever they wanted. I don't know how many hits we even had other than Fliggy's big hit in the second period. I don't want to use the S word, but we're not a good enough team to play like that. For the record, the Blackhawks were credited with 31 hits.
It's a family show, Taylor. Don't say the S word.
Okay. I don't recall 31 hits, but
sure.
If you say so.
When you don't have the puck as often, you are usually going to try and hit the other team a little bit more.
And to illustrate your point, the Buffalo Sabres had 22 hits to the Blackhawks 31 because they had the puck the entire effing game.
Yeah. A little bit more here from Taylor Hall. This is via Mark Lazarus. Says, we all know what's coming here soon. We've got a few nationally televised games. We've got the Winter Classic, so we need to get going and figure it out and find a way to play hard and at least be proud of that.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Says Lazarus says he didn't want to use the S word, quote unquote, but implied the Hawks played soft.
Oh, that S word.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about poop.
I mean, both
Which
work.
Also would be accurate.
Both work and would have been accurate. Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree that the Blackhawks, they had a lot of self-inflicted problems tonight. The passing was really bad for long stretches of time. There were a number of chances in the game that I can remember where, you know, a stretch pass or a breakout pass is just fumbled, and you're just like, oh, all right, well, there goes a chance. Like, you have some speed through the ice, and you can't crawl a puck. Like, it just a lot of self-inflicted problems tonight. And when you have that going, you come out of the gate slow. The other team jumps on you, like you're in a hole that you can't find your way out of. So I think when you get into that spot, there's really two ways to try and get out of it, and that's keep doing the same thing you're doing, which wasn't working, or you kind of just start. And we saw it a little bit. Donato, Foligno, Maroon, like those guys were going in, and they were just like, all right, we're just going to be physical. We're just going to start hitting people, try and maybe a fight jumps this team. And they didn't get to that point, but I don't know. It just wasn't enough. So I don't know. There's really, I don't want to say you burn the tape on this one, because I think you need to.
No, you need to show this over and over again.
You need to look at it and be like, can't play like this, and this is happening too often.
Boy, Hall is right about the stick checks, and he's guilty of it too in this game. Just the flybys are. I saw Ilya Mikheyev like pull up on a hit. Like, it's not complicated. If you watch the first period of this game where the Sabres were clowning the Blackhawks, they were not doing anything fancy.
No.
North and south, puck on net, bodies in front. We've been saying it since the inception of this freaking station. I was saying it on my own podcast for years before that. It is the simplest game in the world when you execute it. Yeah. And when you see the Hawks having success, that's what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Guess who's next on the schedule? The Dallas Stars, who are the greatest example of having a crap ton of talent and playing a simple game. Get ready Sunday for the Dallas Stars to put the puck on net every chance they have. That's how they play. Yeah. That's how you win in the NHL. I don't know how many more times the Hawks have to be on the receiving end of that lesson to get the message. There were several opportunities in this game. I saw Lucas Reichel do it in the first, not to just pick on him, but as an example. Skating in, he's got to look. Meh. I'm just going to throw it into an area and hope someone's there trailing. Rip it. Shoot the puck. Yeah. You're losing the game. It happened in the third period, down 6-2. Who was it that didn't shoot?
Reichel.
I think it was Reichel again.
Reichel again.
Yeah, it's 6-2, and you're trying to do a drop pass.
Shoot, man,
put it on net.
No, there is a epidemic on this team of thinking it's bad to score goals, like to have the mindset.
It's greedy.
To,
it's greedy to be that way.
Be a shooter and try and score. Like Ryan Donato is leading this team in goals. Like it is wide open for anyone on this team to be a goal, to go out and have the mentality to be a goal scorer. Fire shots off, and you have to get to the front of the net. Like until you are getting the simple things done, you cannot do anything. You can't do the big things right if the little things are being overlooked or not executed.
Dude,
I don't know.
How many times during the dynasty when you would get frustrated with the Hawks, would it be the same thing? What are you trying to do? Stop trying to skate circles around everybody. Stop passing and passing and passing. How many times have we yelled at Duncan Keith for the slap pass? Get out of net.
Right.
It's like, I don't care how much skill a team has. Watch playoff hockey. Playoff hockey is not highlight reel goals. You get maybe 1 or 2 or 3 during the entire course of a playoff.
Right.
Where it's like, oh my God, out of the seat, spinorama, backhand, top shelf, bottle pop. No. It's all ugly. And when you've got a team that has as little talent as this Blackhawks team does right now, you've got to score ugly. You've got to win ugly. And until they get that message consistently, the games they've won, that's how they've played. Yeah. And I don't know how you see, in this hand, I have simplicity and victories. In this hand, I have playing fancy and losses. Let's do this one. Let's do this one more often than not, because surely if I keep doing the same thing, it's going to change, and we're going to get different results.
Quit trying to play Instagram hockey.
Yeah.
Guys, come on now. No, it's frustrating, and you'd think the amount of times that the players themselves have said, yeah, we just got to play simple. Luke Richardson, yeah, he's got to play simple. Got to shoot more. Yeah, simple, shoot more. Do it.
I know, and I know it sounds like
I feel like I've said the same thing in every win or loss. I feel like I've said the same thing in every post game, is that they have to do the simple things, do the small things right. Small details lead to bigger success. Like we talk about with the rebuild, and getting the right complementary players to Connor Bedard is important. You can't have the big payoff without the proper buildup of those small details being done right. And if you're overlooking that, or you're just, I don't know, it's just an outright refusal to play that way, then I think you have a personnel problem in which they just don't have the right mix of guys. I don't know.
Yes, correct. And but the thing is, and that's the reason Davidson made the move to fire the coach, was he said this roster is better than it's playing.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anyone around hockey that would look at this roster and say this is the worst roster in the league.
Yeah. I don't think you'd
way
look at that roster and say, yep, last place.
And I know that we have a tendency, meaning like fans of the local team, have a tendency to overestimate and overvalue their players.
Sure.
But this team is not the worst team in hockey. It's not the worst roster in hockey. No. There's no way. Absolutely not. It's just not. And they're certainly playing like it, and they have for most of the year. And boy, this is just such an aggravating, like you said, Mario, it's one thing to lose. Yeah, it's 4-3. It's a hard fought game. Could have gone either way. And they just got the one at the end there, and chalk it up, right? Tough travel day. They had to fly out at 6 a.m., and that's tough. Fine. Whatever. To get your ass kicked by the worst team in the Eastern Conference.
Well, I mean, to that point, I don't know if we want to wait on the video here, but Seth Jones had some very interesting things to say. This is via Mark Lazarus. Seth Jones wasn't interested in making excuses because of a long travel day. Quote, "No, we're not going to talk about that. We didn't come ready to play, and it obviously showed right from the start." More Seth Jones. "We definitely had energy down 4-2, but that's not really the point. The point is why we were down 4-0 after the first. We can't expect to come back every night and try to rally back in the last 30 minutes of a game and score 3 to 4 goals. More Seth Jones on what was said during the first intermission. Quote, "Get your nose into battles. Get them over pucks. We're allowed to hit guys out there. We're allowed to play hard."
Yep. Max with a good comment says Florida should be the blueprint for every team. Minnesota plays similarly. Unless you have the one or two best players in the world, you play aggressive, forecheck, pressure, physical, throw shots to the net. By the way, even if you do have the two most talented players in the world, Edmonton, that's how you had to play to succeed in the playoffs. And you saw in the Amazon series, Connor McDavid freaking out on his teammates, saying it's not good enough. The effort here is not good enough. We're not just going to skate circles around everybody. It's not going to happen. The Oilers have more skill than anybody. They've got McDavid. They've got Draisaitl. They've got 50 goals, spoiled brat, rich kid, Zach Hyman. They're loaded with talent. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Jeff Skinner. It's an all-star team, top to bottom.
Team, yes.
They've not won a cup because they can't play and adapt to playoff hockey. I know they were right there last year, but Florida is that team that's going to scratch and claw, because they're Panthers, for every last inch of the ice all the time. And again, as I said about the Dallas Stars, if the Florida Panthers can play that way, the Chicago Blackhawks sure as hell should be able to play that simple style.
And it's not to say like, oh, as they do this, they'll be a playoff team. It's no, like no one is coming in here with illusions of saying if they play this way, they'll be a 100-point team. It's just having the mentality of like, this is how we have to play to have a chance to win games, because playing the trying to be too cute, overpassing, on a roster that is not in the top half of the league as far as talent wise, player for player, it leads you to this point. So even if you were playing the simple way, playing effective, playing aggressive, trying to just be north and south and crisp, that's going to lead to this team looking better. That's going to lead to games, those 1-goal games in the third period. Probably a good number of them go the opposite way because you have a team that isn't getting shelled in third periods, that isn't wasting efforts because they can't possess the puck whatsoever. We talked about it during the watch along, and we've talked about it many times this season. How often does a line or a defensive pair get hemmed in their own zone? They can't connect a pass, and then they're out there for 40 to 50 seconds playing defense, trying to exit the zone. Then they finally get it out, and they have to chip it and dump it because they can't do anything with it because they're at the end of a shift. It's extremely frustrating.
Yeah. By the way, I think people missing the point about the Florida Panthers. Yes, they have a lot of. The point is they've got a lot of skilled players, yet they play the simple game. Right. The north and south, finish checks, get in front of the net, scratch and claw. That's what we're saying. So if the most talented teams in the league can do it and are willing to do it, despite probably the ability to be Harlem Globetrotters on ice, they say this is winning hockey, and they play that way. That's what I'm talking about. It's a willingness thing. The Hawks should not be trying to stick handle through anyone. They don't have the ability.
Right.
If the teams that do have that ability don't play that way, then the worst team in hockey shouldn't play that way either. That's my point. Okay, got to hit the break zone again. We're going to get to your super chats coming up here in a moment on CHGO Blackhawks. But with everything going on in the world and you're recovering from the holidays, which are always stressful for everybody, it's a good time, as always, to choose chill. And when you choose chill, reach for a Coors Light. It's mountain cold refreshment. You know that by now. My mountains, they're kind of blue. My Coors Light's a little low. Got to pace myself here as I had an entire watch along.
Yeah.
Just kind of going to finish this one off and call it a day. Coors Light is great when you are choosing chill. And when those mountains are blue, like they are sort of on my cup here, it's as cold as the Rockies. So when you embrace the chill mindset, you know it's a great time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Make the most out of the times that you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door right now. Oh, there it is. With Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Make sure to celebrate responsibly.
Yep. Ice Hogs are giving you a lot to celebrate. They're up 5-0. And when you're sitting back on your couch watching a good hockey team play tonight, Rockford Ice Hogs, and you choose and chill, you might look at your floors and say, oof, you know what? Those could use an upgrade. I need to call Empire Today, because with Empire Today, you get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats, but Empire cannot be beat on quality, service, or speed, so competitors are advertising low-quality products that simply will not be carried by Empire. Now, Empire says that they're going to guarantee you a low price, but it is a low price for the high-quality products that you deserve, because anyone who is putting low-quality flooring in your home, they're cheating you. They wouldn't put it in theirs. Empire is not going to be doing that to you. What they are going to do for you is give you the virtual floor designer. It's a really cool feature that allows you to see how new floors will look in any space in your home. Just snap a picture of where you want new floors and instantly see how those options for new floors are going to look in your room, all from the comfort, again, of your couch with a nice Coors Light. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. When you do that, all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when you use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions do apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details.
All right, it is now time to get to your super chats.
We'd like to remind you folks, well, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Here's a $10 super chat from our pal Corey. He says, I can't believe how awful Chicago sports are right now. Yep. The best team is the Cubs, and they barely finished above 500. We need the Hawks to give us hope. Well, I think that's the one thing the Hawks are giving you is hope.
Yes,
because if you look down the pipeline and
if you are plugged into the broader view of the Blackhawks, yes, there is definitely hope to sell and believe in. I understand a lot of people who are looking at the here and now of Chicago or the immediate future of next season and saying, you know, kind of lumping it in with the White Sox and Bulls and Bears of just like, there's nothing to be, you know, there's nothing to sell. There's plenty to sell for this Blackhawks team for the future.
Yeah.
it's just hard to, in the moment, to be patient to see it all.
It is hard to wait. And the more games you have like you had tonight, the more frustrating it gets and the more quickly you want it to be over. And it's totally understandable. And, if people want to bag on Kyle Davidson, you can. But one thing you can't say about him is he's not impatient. He is kind of the right mindset to manage this rebuild. And whether or not his draft picks pan out to be star NHL players or even NHL players at all remains to be seen.
Not all of them will.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not. I don't think that's anyone's expectation. But if, you hit on Nazar and you hit on Bedard and you hit on Korchinski and you hit on Levshinov, even if that's it, you're in really good shape.
I mean, that's a good start.
You're in really good shape as a team that is, because you can add to that. But it's just, probably more than that will have NHL impacts. But you want a guy who's not going to look at this tonight and say, that's it. I'm trading everything. I'm moving prospects. I'm moving draft picks. It doesn't do you any good. And if you watch the watch along, we talked about it. It's what's happening in Detroit is he brings in Tarasenko and Kane and Eric Gustafsson and JT Compher and all these like middle of the road players at this point.
Andrew Kopp. Right.
And they're stuck in the middle and they're going to pick 7, 8, 9, 10 for the rest of eternity. And they're going to be the NHL Bulls, the Detroit Red Bulls. That's what they're going to be. And there's no way out of it. Patience is the way out of this. And even if you want to talk about like you signed Teravainen, you signed Bertuzzi to help the team and to help Connor Bedard. Didn't look great to start. They've been two of your most consistent players here over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They're towards the top of your scoring leaders. I think statistically, even though they've both gone through some slumps, they're where you expected them to be at this point in the year.
Yeah.
So those have kind of worked out. Now you look at Maroon and Martinez and Smith. Those guys are going to be dealt at the deadline. By the way, for the record, Teuvo Teravainen, 23 points in 36 games. Tyler Bertuzzi, 18 points in 36 games. So, maybe a little bit lower in the production level.
I mean,
but recently they've been good.
They're two of your top 4 point producers.
Right.
Like, I think if you said, hey, Teravainen and Bertuzzi are going to be two of your top 4 point producers this year on July 4th, if you had, around your 4th of July cookout said, hey, Teravainen and Bertuzzi are going to be two of your top 4 point producers. You'd probably also pencil in, okay, well, Connor Bedard is one of those 4, and then maybe it's Seth Jones or whoever. Like, you pencil in somebody, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I think that would be fine. It's just the route that it has taken to get here is a little frustrating because Bertuzzi was a slow starter, and Teravainen had a hot start, and then was invisible for a long stretch, and then got hot again. So it's just kind of been like a frustrating way to get here, but we're here nonetheless of, these guys being in those roles. And like we said on the watch along, I think those are two guys that it still makes sense that you gave some term to, but you didn't go overboard and say, we're locking these guys in. They're definitely going to be in our top 6 for when we're contending in 4, 5, 6 years. Like, they're guys that are going to be here.
They're bridging
to help push Bedard forward, push some of the rest of the young guys that are going to be in here forward. And then by the time that, that 3 years, 4 years span of time is over, you'd think you'd have a fully realized Connor Bedard, a fully realized Frank Nazar. Alex Zawaski continues to grow. Levshinov should be here in the next, in that time frame as a fully established NHL player. Korchinski, all these guys that should be at those different points of their career, all in their early to mid 20s. That should be the time that this team is firing on all cylinders. So as everything goes to plan, and Bertuzzi and Teravainen will be at the end of their deals. So I don't bemoan signing them, and the other free agent guys that you brought in. Really, Brody for on ice production is at the bottom. Brossoit is also at the bottom because
he hasn't played.
There is no evidence that he is a Chicago Blackhawk.
But Craig Smith has been good.
Craig Smith, when he was
Pat
healthy,
Maroon's been better than a lot of
pretty
people
good.
thought too.
Pat Maroon has played his role just fine. I hate to. I mean, I don't know. Is it the easy thing to say, Davidson, whiffed on all the free agents. Like, yeah, in a big sweeping judgment, yes, but I don't think that's the case. And I think that's why it's frustrating, because it's like the guys that you can kind of pluck out and say, like, these are guys that are having the right impacts. It's I don't know. It just feels like it's missing something.
Yeah,
it's missing something, and I think it's a mentality thing.
I agree.
Across the board.
Smeef says Bertuzzi is barely more than a plug. Solid third liner as long as his other line mates are good. He was on a top line in Toronto last year. He's been a top line player most of his career. Is he an ideal top 6 winger? No, but again, he's been probably the most consistent Blackhawk all year. It's, I don't know. People just don't like him, and I get it, but it's the narrative thing. And Corey earlier in the chat said losing now does not guarantee the Hawks are going to win later, and that's true. Again, referencing the Red Wings, I just want to know, what would people do instead? Like, so you don't like the free agents that were brought in. They didn't get Jake Gensel, although they tried very, very hard, according to Elliot Friedman. Mm-hmm. Stamkos and Marchessault chose Nashville.
Right.
Who knows if they were talking to either of those guys. So you bring in the next 2 available forwards in Bertuzzi and Teravainen in terms of free agents. You sign what a lot of people thought was the best free agent goalie available, and Laurent Brossoit, who has not been available, but he got hurt training in the offseason after the signing, so it's not like you signed damaged goods. Mm-hmm. I just don't know what the alternative is. And I saw some people say, like, boy, it'd really be nice to have Cole Eiserman and Ivan Demidov. Neither of those guys would be here now.
No.
And you don't know how they're going to compare to Levchinov. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
right.
So now we got to wait 5-6 years to see if those picks were right. I just don't know what the alternative is.
The timeline of, like, a guy like this is, and
do you want to bring back Kaner?
And we did that. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what a lot of people would want to do. We did this on the watch along. It's just like the whatabouts in the prospect system and these drafted players. Like, oh, could have had so and so. It's just like none of them have played professionally. Your timeline on a guy like Cole Eiserman is the same as Sasha Boisvert. Like, a guy 2 picks apart from each other.
Yeah.
Like, and like potentially have the same kind of impact. We're probably going to have the Levchinov Demidov comparison for the next 25 years or the rest of our lives or whatever. Like, those 2 are going to always be tied together in Blackhawks world, unless Levchinov is a Hall of Famer and Demidov is a bust. Like, that's the only way that discussion ever dies. But there's just so much unknown. And you look at what Artem Levchinov has done in Rockford this year. Like, yeah, is he lighting up the AHL as a 19-year-old defenseman? No. But is he making a lot of positive strides? Is he impacting the game positively pretty much every night? For the most part, yeah. And as a 19-year-old in the AHL to do that, a guy who has gone from playing internationally to overseas, to then playing in the USHL, then playing in the NCAA, to then playing in the AHL, and playing effectively at all 4 levels in consecutive years, and being good enough to, be one of the best players in college hockey last year, be the number 2 overall pick. Like, that is impressive. And you're still seeing those incremental steps up, and defensemen take some time. Boisvert is a guy that's going to take some time. And like we said on the watch along, he's probably a really good third-line center, probably could pan out to be a decent second-line center, but it's a building block piece. It's not the piece that puts you over the top. And those are the guys that, like Bedard, you have to get at the top of the draft. So, again, Detroit hasn't been in a situation where they're in that top 3 of a draft to get that kind of player, so they've had to go a different route, but it's a route that lands you in the middle. Blackhawks are trying to go the route that gets you the opportunity to get those big franchise-changing players that when everything is said and done, when they become fully realized, they are those guys that are putting you over the top. The guys like Taze and Kane, who, again, were both top 3 picks.
Just a little note about Bertuzzi. Lebowski 5 said, where would Bertuzzi be in the Florida Panthers lineup? Probably not top 6. The top line left wing on the Florida Panthers is Evan Rodriguez. Evan Rodriguez has 7 goals and 9 assists this year for the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, different teams lines are different.
11-7, by the way, for 18 points for Bertuzzi.
Yeah. Lines are assembled differently for obviously different coaches and different styles and different systems. Not every number one line is high, like it's not NHL 25. Highest rated wing, highest rated center, next highest rated wing. Next wing, next center, next wing. It's not always pieced together like that. Like you have to, everything's different.
Yep.
Bertuzzi can fit into this team differently than he would into the Panthers. And for a lot of teams, line numbers mean more to us than they do to the players and the coaches.
Yeah. I'm just saying, though, that Bertuzzi would probably be on the top 6.
Bertuzzi would have a good chance of playing in the top 6 in Florida.
I think a Bertuzzi, Barkov, Reinhart line would be pretty good.
Sure.
I think they would like that. All right, got to hit the break zone one more time before we wrap up. Then back to your comments and some final thoughts, including we'll tell you who the 4-star nominees are because I failed to do that because I'm rusty. Back in a moment on CHGO Blackhawks. But Mario,
yes.
I know it's been a few days since we've been here.
Yeah.
So did you remember that ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient? Does that ring a bell?
You know, with all the Christmas cookies and eggnog,
yeah,
I think I've forgotten that information.
Yep.
My brain has been on other things.
ComEd does offer that. It's their energy efficiency program and can help find up to 35% in energy savings.
35%?
You heard me.
Oh, wow.
Holy jumping.
What does a business have to do to get that kind of savings?
Sign up for a free facility assessment at comed.com/biz.
That seems like an easy thing to do. Why aren't more businesses doing that?
I believe they have forgotten the website due to eggnog and such.
Just like me. That website is comed.com/biz.
Indeed.
Is that correct? comed.com/biz, B-I-Z?
Yep, that's it.
Yes, comed.com/biz.
You got it. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customers' energy usage and rate, and the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law.
Program. Nice. Hey, if you like saving money because you're being more energy efficient, then you are going to like saving money on buying tickets to anything like a sporting event
Correct.
Or a comedy show or a musical concert. And you're going to do it through Game Time. That's where you're going to save the most money because Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. It's still the holidays for a lot of people. So togetherness is a good thing. And that means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better through Game Time. Game Time has a feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Get these tickets out of my face. I don't want to sit in these nosebleeds. No, I want the best tickets possible at the best deal possible. And Game Time Picks, their curation makes it easier to save on all kinds of events. They have the all-in pricing, which is a feature that shows you the total upfront, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. And they have the view from your seat option, so you can get a view from any seat in the house, whatever venue you're at. If you've never been there before, or you've never been to the United Center for a concert, you've only been there for Hawks games or Bulls games, and you want to know what the view is going to look like from your seat with Game Time and Game Time Picks, you can see that view and make sure you're getting the right ticket for you. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHGO, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today because what time is it?
Game time.
Game time.
All right. 4-star nominees. Vote quick. Number 1, Bertuzzi, a goal, 3 shots, and a hit. Pat Maroon, an assist, a shot, 3 shot attempts, and 3 hits. And Connor Bedard with an assist, 4 shots, 6 shot attempts, and won 63% of his faceoffs tonight. Won 5, lost 3.
That's good.
So there you go. Baby steps for Connor Bedard. Get those votes in.
Positive. And
we'll reveal the winner shortly. We are also getting the post-game audio and video in. So hold on. We're going to play that. Seth Jones, Taylor Hall, and Anders Sorensen. I think it's probably worth hearing from those guys. After this one, a couple of comments from Tool I wanted to get to. He says, Jay and Mario, you guys do an amazing job giving such a poopy circumstance. Thanks for always being as upbeat as possible. I'll always be a fan no matter how crappy it is. Y'all make it easier. Thanks. Thank you, Tool.
Thank you, Tool.
It's nice to hear that. And also says, experiment failed. A spade is a spade. If you were GM, when would you start selling again? What moves would you make?
I mean, just within this season?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, Pat Maroon, Alec Martinez when he's healthy. I think Taylor Hall. Most players on an expiring deal, I'm fine, and Kyle Davidson should be exploring what their value is. Now, do it now. No, there's no reason to wait till March 8th or 7th, whatever day the trade deadline is this year. Now, figure out where other teams value those players, see what you can get, and I think at the very least you're opening up some spots for some guys like Landon Slagert and Colton Dock. Maybe Wyatt Kaiser comes back up. Maybe Ethan Del Mastro gets an opportunity. You're going to have some of these guys we're talking about with prospects down the line. You're going to have some of these college guys likely turn pro this year and maybe get some games in the NHL, like Aiden Thompson and Ryan Green, Sam Renzel, maybe Oliver Moore. Like there's definitely going to be some options with those young guys to maybe have a shot in the spring to make their NHL debuts, at least make their professional debuts. So I'd say most players on an expiring deal, see what you can get. See what values are. Even a guy like Kurashev, I know we talked about him at the beginning of the watch along. It's just kind of like, I mean, you got to, I think at this point, most guys you can say are either trade pieces or parts of the future. Kurashev, I mean, he's in that middle spot, but I think if push came to shove, I think I would say Kurashev is not a long-term guy.
No, I don't think so either. Was a little bit better today, though. Dean L says, unfortunately, some of these picks are not looking so great. Korchinski does not look like a top 10 pick. They wanted to trade up to get more and said they were lucky to get him, and he looks like a bust. Dude, what are we talking about here? He hasn't played an NHL game yet, and Dean, I'm sure, is making that comment based off one World Junior Championship game where he didn't get a point. This is the stuff we're talking about, guys. You can't.
It's what I said in the watch along. It's just like how
Kevin Korchinski's 20 years old and played an entire NHL season last year and was not awful.
You go back.
Holy cow!
Go back if you could ever find the footage in the archives. Go back and try and watch some of Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook from 2006 and 2007, and I'm sure people would have the same the same declarations of these guys don't look like future pieces. These guys don't look like top future NHLers.
Duncan Keith didn't make his NHL debut until he was 22.
Right.
Kevin Korchinski was 19 last year. Yep. Pump the brakes.
Korchinski
calling any of these prospects a bust right now is ridiculous.
Oliver Moore, because he's playing in the World Junior Championships, is 19. Kevin Korchinski is 20. Artem Levshinov is 19. Like it's, yeah. I mean, you
All right. Anyway, we had another super chat I want to get to as well. It was from Max.
We'd like to remind you folks, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Max says, great job 2024, guys. I know we have another one before the end of the year, but I'll be in a flight back to Seattle. Thankful for the Hawks community. Future is still bright. Happy holidays. Thank you, Max. We appreciate that. Do we have the post game ready to go?
It's still exporting.
It is
will
exporting.
Be ready in like 1 minute.
No problem.
All right. Well, why don't we do the 4-star of the game right now? Since it looks like it's ready to call. This was a close one, and I got to say, I'm a little bit surprised.
Yeah.
4-star of the game with 37% of the vote. Tyler Bertuzzi.
It's close majority, but it works.
Maroon had 33. Bedard had 31. So that might be our closest matchup of the year. I thought Bedard was going to run away with this one.
That's pretty close. Yeah, when we made the late decision to flip it to Bedard, we were like, he's probably going to win it. But yeah, I mean, Bertuzzi, he played effective. Pat Maroon had a pretty solid game, played physical, had a good setup on the Seth Jones goal. Bedard was even for the lack of offensive zone time and a lot of chances, like he was creating most of them. So yeah, I mean, again, we're trying to polish up a really bad game, but those guys were, again, noticeably less bad than everybody else.
Congratulations on being less bad than everybody else. All right, before we go, post-game audio and video courtesy of our friends at the Blackhawks, Seth Jones, Taylor Hall, Anders Sorensen. Take it away.
Seth, I know you guys don't like making excuses, but how tough is a day like this today where you have to get up early, fly in day out?
No, we're not going to talk about that. We didn't come ready to play today, and it obviously showed right from the start.
Then why didn't you then?
Great question. Just weren't ready to compete, and shot ourselves in the foot multiple occasions, and ends up in the back of our net, especially against a young, skilled team like this. They want to feed off our turnover or off creative turnovers from us, and that's exactly what we gave them.
That phrase gets thrown around a lot, not ready to play, but what goes into that? Like, what was it? Mentality lacking, focus lacking? Or what do you think?
I'm not sure.
How did you feel out there today?
Decent. I think as the game went on, I got better, but I think there's still room to improve from where I was. I think pre-injury.
You down 4-0, you get a couple of goals. You get 4-2 on your goal early in the third. You're feeling like everything's going well. You get the power play, and then what happens from there.
Yeah, I mean they come right. I mean, yeah, they came right down and they scored a goal right away. And, it's unfortunate. We had a chance in the power play. We had a couple good looks.
Did you feel at that point that you were like?
Yeah, we had some energy. We definitely had energy. Down 4-2, but that's not really the point. The point is why we're down 4 after the first. We can't expect to come back every night and try to rally back in the last 30 minutes of a game and score 3-4 goals. We got to be ready right from the start, and we left Peter out to dry tonight, and they took it to us.
What was the conversation at the first intermission?
Get our nose in battles, get them over pucks. We're allowed to hit guys out there. We're allowed to play hard, and they just seemed to win all the races. They were second quick every battle, and it showed.
How do you explain that first period?
Yeah, I don't know. That was, with the day that we had, it was imperative for us to be simple and play hard and at least get our legs under us before, and you blink and it's 4-0. It's unacceptable, and we put Peter in a really tough spot, and we know their MO as a team. They're a skilled bunch that likes to gather speed and play with the puck, and we didn't make them battle. We didn't make them fight for any of their chances, and it's just really disappointing after a break, and everyone should be mentally fresh, but it's I think hopefully this can be a turning point for us, because that was ugly.
What was the conversation at the first intermission?
There were so many things that we did wrong, and so many things to really clean up, but overall it was our compete, and we had so many stick checks and flybys, and they could do whatever they want. I don't know how many hits we even had other than Fliggy's big hit in the second period there, so we got to be better. We're not a good enough team to play. I don't want to use the S word, but we're not a good enough team to play like that.
When you get the power play after Seth Jones scores, you feel like you're right back in the game?
Yeah. You got 10 minutes to score 2 goals, and that's doable, but we dug ourselves such a hole that it was more about just finding our overall game and putting together some really good shifts in front of our goaltenders, and of course we don't even do that. So just disappointing. It was ugly tonight, and there's a lot of things for us to clean up, and we all know what's coming here soon. We got a few nationally televised games. We got the Winter Classic, so we need to get going and figure it out and find a way to play hard and at least be proud of that.
It's been a long day for you guys, but how do you explain that first period?
Yeah, just not good enough. Urgency, compete level coming out on the road, not good enough.
The phrase "just not being ready" gets thrown around a lot, but it seemed like maybe more applicable today than other days. What was lacking? Like, what was it? Focus or execution, or what do you think was not there?
Yeah, I think it was, like I said earlier, the urgency and the compete. From right when the puck drops, you got to, you're on the road, right? Playing a team that won right before the holidays, scored a lot of goals, and yeah.
The defensive coverage, what was going wrong specifically?
Well, I don't know. There was a lot off the rush, right? I think we gave up way too many odd man breaks. The first goal was in zone. We just kind of got discombobulated a little bit. They had 3 guys at the net. We had 2, and then, yeah.
Mrázek looked like he was maybe hurting a little bit. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah.
You switched up the D pairs there, and it seemed like that helped a little bit. What was the thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, we grasped a little bit, so we're trying to get a little bit of more balance there. And obviously, after the first period, it wasn't, as a group, it wasn't just the D, it was everybody, right? So try to switch something up, and yeah, it looked a little bit better for sure.
A week ago, you guys had a 3-game winning streak. Things were looking good. How do you get back to the good vibes?
Yeah, we got to get to work tomorrow, right? Number 1, and then play at home. Get back to the rhythm there and go from there.
All right, that's Anders Sorensen. Did I call him Anders? Trying to switch it up. Courtesy of the Chicago Blackhawks. We are going to be back Sunday night after Hawks and Stars at the United Center. I believe that is the last home for the holidays game.
Yes, it is.
So if you're going to that game...
It's an afternoon game, is it not?
I think it's a night.
Is it a night game?
I think so.
Okay.
To the calendar.
It is
It is at 7:30.
Okay, good. 7:30.
So if you're going to that game, get there early, get to the atrium, check out the light show they do. It's much better at night.
You can actually see it.
That's for sure. It is pretty cool. They do a good job in the atrium around always, but especially around the holidays, and that light show is very, very cool. And come and hear the Frank Pellico Holiday Medley, one of my favorite things of the year. And apparently Latvia just beat Canada.
Latvia has just beaten Canada for the first time ever at the World Juniors in the 8th round of a shootout. Eric's Matejko. Eric's Matejko, a Washington Capitals prospect, scores in the 8th round to give Latvia their first ever win over Canada. Bunch of bums, those Canadians.
All busts.
All busts.
Every last one.
Gavin McKenna, bust. The rest of them, busts. All of them.
All right. Talk to you later. Talk to you Sunday night.
All the Latvians.
There you go. After Hawks and Stars. Love you guys. Thank you. Hit the like button on your way out. We'll see you then. Sunday night. CHGO Blackhawks Postgame Show.
We all silly like the mayor.